I'm the sheriff of Tangipahoa Parish. We're here to talk about Mr. Cyphers, who escaped from the Tangipahoa Parish jail on May the 16th. I just want to bring everybody up to speed on the timeline of events, and we'll get into how it all come to the finale yesterday afternoon. So, Mr. Cyphers escaped on 5/16. He was originally jailed at Tangipahoa Parish Jail for the charges of armed robbery and other weapons-related charges. On 5/26, there were 3 other escapes. That's when Mr. Cyphers was actually discovered missing from the Tangipahoa Parish Jail. 5/28, 2 of those escapees were captured. A third on the 31st of May. We took over this administration July 1st, and we've been working this case ever since. On November 20th, Jamarcus Cyphers was taken into custody. He was booked with 1 count of simple escape and unlawful possession of a machine gun, as well as 2 counts of felon in possession of a firearm. At this time, Cyphers is back in the Department of Corrections custody. This all started on Tuesday, November 19th. Our narcotics detectives, while conducting routine surveillance on an apartment complex off of Rufus Bankston Road in Hammond, witnessed a shooting. They observed a black Honda Civic that approached the area when an individual jumped out of a parked black Nissan and began shooting a rifle at the Civic. TPSO detectives gave chase to the Sentra, but the suspects got away. Detectives learned that the Civic being shot at was stolen out of Baton Rouge and had switched license plates. It was found abandoned at a nearby apartment complex on Quick Boulevard. No one was injured in that shooting, and the occupied buildings did have evidence of being hit. On Wednesday, November 20th, the continued investigation into that previous day's shooting led to a search warrant being sought after and ultimately obtained at a specific apartment unit in that complex on Quick Boulevard where the Civic was abandoned. There, while executing that search warrant, Cyphers was found hiding in a utility closet with a gun. It's going to be the smaller of the 2. After Cyphers was found, also found with him was a bag containing a multiple change of clothing and also a plastic bag with cuttings of his hair. If you remember recently, we released an updated photo or some more updated information where we believe that he was trying to change his appearance to avoid capture. So what we've learned about Cyphers to this date, and we met actually with U.S. Marshals last week. We had information that he was bouncing back and forth between Tangipahoa Parish and the Dallas area. It's our understanding that he had some acquaintance there, some family there. So we've been, and we have reason to believe that he's committed other crimes while he's been on the loose. We're talking to our law enforcement partners in other jurisdictions and believe that he may be involved in some criminal activity in Dallas. So that investigation is ongoing. We are also looking into his connection to the Rufus Bankston shooting incident where the shots were fired. There was a shots fired call reported on the Old Baton Rouge Highway several hours later on Tuesday evening. We understand that Cyphers was dropped off at the Quick Boulevard apartment shortly after, and that his acquaintance was with the apartment tenant's boyfriend. Unfortunately, we also consider Cyphers a person of interest in our A-Meat double homicide, I think from early July. And so we are looking into to that to try to confirm or dispel that. We have some information, some leads that we're following up on, and so we are, that investigation into that double homicide continues. We have made one arrest on it, and but that case is still open. There were 4 other individuals in the apartment at the time of the warrant was served. They were also arrested. McKeem Jackson, 18 of Baker, has been booked on 1 count each of principal to the escape and unlawful possession of a machine gun. Paris Brumfield, 18 of Ponchatoula, has been booked on 1 count each of principal to escape. Brad Bennett, 18 years of age, of Amite, has been booked on 1 count each of principal to the escape. Dejeuner Demoshe, 20 of Hammond, has been booked on 1 count each of principal escape and unlawful possession of machine guns. She was also taken into custody on an outstanding warrant for child endangerment. She is the apartment unit tenant. Circling back to the Tuesday incident, we have 1 arrest made from that shooting. That individual, Jalen Robertson, 26, has been booked on 1 count of aggravated assault with a firearm. TPSO detectives could use the public's assistance in locating the other 2 individuals believed to be behind the shooting on Tuesday. We've identified persons of interest in that as 23-year-old Jonathan Robertson, who is Jalen's brother, and 18-year-old Julian Felder. We're also working to identify the occupants of the Civics that were actually the victims, the ones that were shot at. We asked the public if they know anything about this incident or anything about any of these suspects. We asked them to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-554-5245, or they can use our P3 app. Also, our number here at Sheriff's Office is 985-902-2088. Also, since I've taken over July 1, we have made several improvements to the jail. In the area of Constantina wire, the razor wire, we've put up about 3 miles of that to date. New cameras, our staffing. There were 13 vacancies when I took over July 1 in the jail. We are down to 4 currently, and we are still working to fill those last 4. Training has been a big initiative of mine in that jail, because ultimately what led to this, this failure is peoples and processes. There was a lack of people, and there were a lack of processes, a lack of training. I've owned that, taken over July 1st, and probably 65% of our employees now have all been state post-certified as corrections deputy, and we're working to get the remainder of our employees certified. With that obviously comes a level of professionalism, a level of competence in the job, and a confidence for that employee to know what they're doing and know what they can't do. And so we made some improvements on their leadership. We're currently interviewing for the position of warden at our jail. We have a couple interim wardens that have taken on that task and are doing a great job. We just did our latest interview as of this morning, so we're still looking for ultimately that permanent warden that will come in and run that jail. But I just want to give a shout out to our administration that's here. There are individuals, captains and majors, that have been in that jail daily, making sure that counts are getting done, making sure that processes are being followed, and quite frankly, implementing processes so that we minimize the chance of escape happening. Now with Cyprian in custody and finalizing the investigation into his escape, all he has basically told us that he believed that he was wrongfully convicted and that he had no intentions of ever turning himself in. I want to thank finally our detectives, our narcotics detectives, our detective unit as a whole, patrol. I was out there the other evening after this shooting occurred. They were out there proactively doing their job, working narcotics complaints, working in that community. And Cyprian was located. If you notice the list of names that I read, there was a Meat connection, there was a Baton Rouge area connection, there was a Ponchatoula area connection. So this is not just tied to one community. This criminal network, gangs, if you will, is spread across this parish and beyond. This individual, like I said, was Cyprian. We've traced him all the way to Dallas. And so what we're doing here moving forward is trying to piece that timeline, see where he was at, when he was there, whatever location he may have been at any particular time, and to see if there are any other criminal activities that he may have been involved in. So, with that, I will yield to y'all, and I'll be glad to take any questions. If you have one, just please raise your hand. Yes, sir, Chris.
You referenced the Amy Douglas shooting. Just to be clear here, that is the July 23rd incident involving Mr. Ryan Snow?
That's going to be it. Yes, sir.
Sure. How many other agencies in the past 6 months have been involved in manhunt for him?
So we have, obviously our agency, we've been in touch with the U.S. Marshals, and through the U.S. Marshals, they've kind of been, we've been the lead on it, obviously, but they've kind of been the umbrella agency, and they've been communicating with Dallas PD and with us. We met with the U.S. Marshal for this district, was it 2 weeks ago, I think? And so, and we had information that he was back and forth. There was some alleged sightings in a meet recently where they said that it was him, but he cut his hair. And so we were working, couldn't 100% identify it was him, but there was just a lot of communication going on, a lot of information, that he was at some point back here in a meet. And so to your earlier question, Chris, is that there was an allegation that he was in some way, shape, or involved in that double homicide, whether it was actively or before or after. And so we're working to, again, to confirm or dispel that link.
Where is he being held now?
So currently he's being held at Hunt Correctional Facility.
The weapons to your left, do we know if he used those? Were those found in his possession?
They were found in his possession. If you see when I read the charges, each one of them is called constructive possession. They were all involved in criminal activity, but Cyprian was in possession in the closet with that firearm. Yes, ma'am.
Has Cyprian stated why he came back to the area? He made it all the way to Dallas. Why not stay out there?
It's speculation, but I would assume if he's committing criminal activity. I know Dallas PD was actively looking for him as well, so it may have got a little hot over there. And I've surmised all along that he probably wasn't going to be too far away. He's got no support network other than his criminal friends. He's got no means of getting a job. Understand that he was, bouncing from place to place. When he would come across somebody, he would give them a fake name. So there was no means for him to, to cross the border into Mexico or leave the country. And so, I'm just glad that, hard work, dogged determination, and a little bit of luck, we're able to get Mr. Cyprian back into custody.
Has he provided any insight into what may have happened in that 10-day window between when he escaped and, May 26th? Any information on how he was undetected?
No, sir. He was pretty tight-lipped, and like I said, the only comment that he made that he was never going to turn himself back in. He didn't believe that he should be in jail, that he was wrongfully convicted. But we're working, and one of the reasons that we put him in Hunt Correctional Facility is not because our jail is insecure or unsecured. We put him there because of the ongoing investigation, so that we can talk to, because one of our other inmates for that shooting is at Tangipahoa Parish Jail, and so we want to keep them apart while we, work our way through the information that we have. And so that's why he is at Hunt Correctional Facility where he's at currently. But he was pretty much uncooperative with us.
Okay, we haven't found any information suggesting anybody in the jail assisted in his escape.
No, sir.
You're talking about the lack of process over at the jail. Are you frankly surprised that more inmates hadn't escaped in that period of time?
Yes, sir. I'll just be honest with you. You know, we took over July 1, you know, and we haven't looked back. You know, I've tackled that jail. We knew going in that the jail, it's an old facility. You know, it's historically been understaffed. The employees are underpaid. I'm working tirelessly trying to change that tide and correct it. My biggest, you know, probably headache, if you will, has been that jail. But it's not a problem that we're shying away from. The men and women that we have working there are phenomenal. And it's up to us as the leadership of this department to make sure that I pay them as best I can within the limited amount of means that we have within the budget, and also to provide them the training so that they're safe, so that they know the rules. And I said this earlier on in some other interviews, it's hard for me to hold people accountable if I don't set them up for success. And so we're doing our part at the leadership of the sheriff's office to equip and train our employees, especially in that jail. And we're working with DOC, we're working with even our insurance company that, you know, takes care of all of our litigation for the jail and the liability insurance, you know, gleaning them for suggestions. We've had, you know, DOC come in, walk through that jail with us, and it's not an overnight fix, but it's something that we are making progress daily.
The names in this press release, obviously those who you've arrested and then perhaps those you are looking for, what are their relationships with family, friends? What are we looking at here?
I don't know their specific relationship. At the very least, they're co-criminal conspirators. You know, they're. It's just that element. Like I said, they're all from different areas. I don't think necessarily that they're blood related, but there's a relationship there nonetheless, and I would suspect that it's probably gang affiliated.
This saga has been kind of hanging over your head since you took over. I got to imagine, or how does it feel to, I guess, have this finally wrapped up 6 months later?
Obviously, we were elated. You know, I was listening to our radio, and I knew, you know, we were out on another case outside of Tickfall, and you know, we made an arrest for, you know, another unrelated armed robbery with a knife. I got back here to the office, had to leave again. I was getting in my truck, and I heard the radio saying, you know, the unit number to AMEET, which is our dispatch call sign, AMEET, which is our parish seat, and they said, we have Cyprian in custody, let TP1 know, which I'm TP1, and I picked up the radio and said, I'm 10-4 direct, you know, so I was like, thank you. And you know, so the first call I made was to our public information officer, and there were many celebrations, and I just want to thank again, you know, our detectives and our patrol deputies that were out there doing proactive work. You know, when I took over this sheriff's office July 1, there was no narcotics unit. I have 3 for a population of 134,000, and those 3 narcotics detectives are responsible for this whole parish. They are assisted by the rest of our person and property crimes detectives as well as patrol, but they have a heavy lift, those 3 individuals, and you know, I just can't commend them enough for being out there on the job, being proactive, and look, they saw crime in progress because they were there, and 1 arrest was made because of it, and there are more coming. We're also looking as we tie up and are able to build a picture of where Cyprian was at any particular time. I fully anticipate additional arrests are coming for harboring a fugitive. You know, time and time again, every interview, I said that if you know where Cyprian's at, please turn him in. There was a $10,000 reward, and if we find out that individuals harbored him, they're going to jail, period. You know, this is not you know, you look at that picture, and it's a shame. He's a young man, you know, clean cut now that he cut his hair. He has his whole life ahead of him, but he chose a life of crime, and our job is to make sure that he doesn't escape again, that he's ultimately going to serve his sentence on the original charges, as well as we're going forward with the prosecution of these additional charges. And if we can build additional cases against him, then we'll do so unapologetically. And it's up to me and our men and women. He'll never see the light of day again.
Now, you said that you contacted Dallas. Is he going to be transported to Dallas for anything?
Not that I'm aware of at this time, and so obviously we'll, I don't know if we've been in communication with the U.S. Marshal's office yet or not. I'm assuming we have, but those communications are going to go back to Dallas, and they'll be made aware, and we'll be glad to assist them in any way, shape, or form.
So he could be facing charges there too?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Was the Crime Stoppers tip that led to his arrest?
No, sir, this was 100% on the backs of our detectives that were out in a drug-infested neighborhood working to keep it safe, that totally unrelated to Cyprian, worked an active shooting, which they witnessed, and they gave pursuit. They worked that investigation, identified the possible location of the shooters and the guns, where the guns were being stashed, and when they executed that search warrant, Mr. Cyprian was in that house.
Forgive me if you already referenced this, but the apartment or home where he was found specifically, did he have any pre-existing ties to that location, to your knowledge?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of.
Hey, y'all. Well,
Got it. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all's interest in this. Thank you.
can you play the surveillance video again?
Ashley, I'm okay to get a shot of the guns.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can, sorry,
Hey, Russell,
we're gonna
play this.
we're gonna play them again, but I can also provide them direct file to you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got the email that you sent out, 2:15. Yeah, got them.